It was Christmas Eve, and the snow fell in gentle flakes over the sleepy town of Winter Hollow. Every street glowed with warm golden light from garlands wrapped around lampposts. Children's laughter echoed through the chilly air as families finished their last-minute preparations. The atmosphere buzzed with joy as it always did this time of year. Except at the old Holloway house at the edge of town. For decades it had sat abandoned, its roof sagging under years of neglect. But this year something was different. The lights were on. I first noticed it when walking home from the local bakery. My arms were heavy with bags of cookies and festive treats, but my steps faltered as I passed the overgrown path leading to the house. Through the frosted windows, faint light flickered inside. Strange, I muttered. No one had lived there since the Halloways disappeared on Christmas Eve 30 years ago. I was a child then, but I still remembered the whispers, how their entire family vanished without a trace. How their Christmas tree stood untouched for weeks, its lights burning out long before the police sealed the property. Most people in Winter Hollow avoided the house, calling it cursed. But now curiosity pulled me closer. I approached cautiously, my boots crunching in the snow. Through the cracked window, I could see a Christmas tree, its ornaments glinting in the flickering light. It wasn't just light. The tree was fully decorated, complete with gifts neatly wrapped beneath its boughs. My heart pounded. Who had decorated it? The front door creaked open as I stepped onto the porch. A gust of cold wind pushed it wider, as though inviting me inside. Against every instinct I stepped in. The air was frigid, far colder than it had any right to be, and it carried the scent of pine needles and something metallic like old coins. The living room looked untouched, as though it had been preserved in a glass case for 30 years. The Christmas tree was the centerpiece. Its lights blinked rhythmically, casting the room in alternating shadows and soft golden hues. Beneath it, the presents bore faded tags with scrawled names: Ellie, Thomas, Mommy, and Daddy. But the oddest thing? The ornaments. They weren't the shiny baubles or candy canes you'd expect. They were faces. I leaned closer, my breath fogging in the icy air. Tiny, delicate faces carved into porcelain hung from each branch. Wide eyes stared blankly out, and small mouths curled into perfect eerie smiles. Goosebumps prickled my skin. The faces looked too lifelike, as though someone had captured their expressions in a moment of terror. Then I noticed the writing scrawled on the wall behind the tree. Thin and jagged, as though scratched by trembling hands, it read, "Do not take the gifts." I backed away, my instincts screaming at me to leave, but my curiosity overpowered my fear. I knelt beside the tree and reached for one of the boxes. It was light, too light for a real gift. As my fingers brushed the paper, the room seemed to exhale a frigid breath, and a low hum filled the air, a soft, mournful sound like someone singing from very far away. I hesitated. "Hello?" My voice sounded small, swallowed by the cold. The humming stopped. Suddenly, the tree lights flickered erratically, and the room plunged into darkness. My heart raced as the sound of footsteps creaked above me, slow, deliberate, pacing across the upper floor. "No one's supposed to be here," I whispered, backing toward the door. Then came the laughter. Childlike giggles echoed from the hallway, followed by the faint rustle of movement behind the tree. I turned toward the door to bolt but froze in my tracks. The porcelain ornaments now dangled at eye level, their once blank expressions twisted into wide, toothy grins. Their eyes followed me. "Who's there?" I yelled, my voice shaking. The giggles grew louder. A flash of movement darted in the corner of my eye, something small, quick, and impossibly fast. The footsteps from upstairs thundered now, barreling down the staircase. "Get out," a raspy voice whispered behind me. I turned and saw her. A woman, dressed in an old-fashioned holiday dress, her face pale as the moon and her eyes sunk in hollows. She stood by the tree, her bony hand outstretched. "Leave," she said, her voice layered with anger and sorrow. Without hesitation I ran. The cold night air stung my face as I fled down the driveway, my breath coming in ragged gasps. I didn't stop running until I reached the safety of my house. I locked every door and window, praying to forget what I'd seen. But that night, as the clock struck midnight, a faint, rhythmic knock sounded at my door. I didn't answer. The next morning, Christmas Day, I found a package on my porch. It was neatly wrapped with paper that felt old and brittle. My name was written in elegant script on the tag. I didn't want to open it, but my trembling hands betrayed me. Inside was a single porcelain ornament. Its face was my own. The twisted smile and hollow eyes were unmistakable. And as I held it, I swore I could hear humming again, soft, distant, and unrelenting.